And now I'm telling you a long story, so I have some notes. And this is a story about an imagery which I find very useful. And so the first idea, that in terms of the way that you can connect your body to itself. So the first question is that, or the idea is that your body is mapped, like your physical body is mapped to different parts of your mind. I don't know if, by the way, this may all be scientifically wrong. It can still be useful. So I want our imagery to be that maybe we have a lot of nerves in our hands, and maybe we have relatively fewer nerves in our elbows. And maybe there's a lot of coordination in our hands, and they can do lots of things, and they're important to us. And maybe with our elbows, they're important, but maybe they don't take quite as much room as our hands do, even though they're about the same size, my hand and my elbow. So just because a certain part of your body has a certain size, that doesn't mean it's the size that it occupies in your brain. And similarly, you might say your taste buds or might occupy more space in your brain than, I don't know, your earlobe. And once again, they may be similar sizes. And you could imagine that the space in your brain that's dedicated to sensing things can change, right? So you hear this story of like taxi drivers in London who have the knowledge of like the streets of London, and then there's some test. And in the process of being taxi drivers, there are certain parts of their brain which grow because then they have to do all this memorizing of like spatial things. And likewise, you can imagine that the part of your brain that's associated with the understanding of your center, with the use of your back and your arms, through your arms, may grow. And you can have this idea that we can have spirit bodies, and that you can take this, like the people who do anime, the people who do cartoons, they get it right. So if you were to draw a cartoon of the stereotypic nerdy guy, he would have oversized hands and an oversized brain and a more shriveled body. And you could imagine, well, that's his spirit body, and that's what the cartoon is representing. Or you could imagine someone who was a strongman, and maybe it's like a bodybuilder, but one of those bodybuilders who's not like so amazing, like a tier down, who only does upper body. He ignores leg day. And he never works his core except incidentally, and he sort of walks around like this. And in a cartoon, he'll be then even more distorted because that's his spirit body. And then you can ask, what do you want your spirit body to be? And you can work on it, and you can work on it two ways. You can work on it with awareness. Just by paying attention, you can become more aware of it. The brain can develop. And you can work on it with like physical movement and exercise and doing things. And so you can imagine the spirit body of a martial artist or a boxer, and their torso being like super solid. And you can imagine the spirit body of a dancer maybe being curves and lines and arcs of energy. And when I think about my spirit body and dancing it, then it becomes not that I'm doing a gesture, like here's me doing a gesture with my physical body. It becomes this energetic thing. And in my mind, I imagine myself encompassed, and that is my spirit dancing. And that can go on sort of to infinity. It's not limited by my physical body, but just by its intention. So play with this idea. I find it a really useful imagery.